Well, good Monday morning to you, and welcome to our live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy, with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition on south of Pass Road, on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road. Our phone lines are 896-0713, 800-349-0713. You can call now. Our operator Stephanie is standing by to take your questions. If you want to be on the air, she'll let us know, and we'll have you on the air asking your question live. Or if you don't want to be on the air, you can just ask her and she'll pass the question along to us. What we're talking about today is something that is part of life. Yes. It's as part of life as taxes.
True.
You know, you're going to grow old.
Yeah.
You're going to grow old.
You hope you grow old.
Well, we hope you grow old, yes.
We like to grow mature. But
this is true. As we mature,
yes,
things change. You know, in our bodies, our health and everything, things that more so that we have to deal with than a lot of young people do.
Yeah. You know what's really kind of stupid about the whole thing is that, you know, as we mature, we get a little older, and we start having to come under the auspices of the Medicare. And of course, think about this now. This is some common sense, which is, I know, very uncommon today. But as we grow older, we're going to need more medical care, say, than a 25-year-old. Mm-hmm. But yet Medicare restricts what they'll pay for, and it only pays for certain things, only does this, that, and the other. So it's very limited in what it covers. And that's actually the age group that needs more intervention in medicine.
And more testing. I mean, they probably get, yes, if you end up in the hospital, it definitely covers it. So it's more, but you know, we've talked about before that insurance is sick care. It's not well care.
Right.
They can't afford to do well care for everybody. So what we wanted to stress is we hear a lot of people that come in. And a lot of people that, you know, when we talk about the geriatric group, actually they consider geriatric over 65. But to me, that's a little young. He don't consider himself geriatric, and he is in that age group. Yeah. But what we see is that no matter what someone's complaint is, a lot of times they're told, well, you're just getting old. And when we do lab work on these people, there's problems that show up, and it's where they can feel better. You don't have to feel bad as you're getting older. There's no doubt there's going to be more health problems. There's more doubt you're going to deal with more things, and we're going to talk about some of those that show up in almost everybody as they age. But you don't. It is something that you're going to have to do on your own, though. That's one of the things, you know, you're not going to be able to go get every level tested at one time because Medicare doesn't allow it.
And you know, like she said, you know, you're going to have to take care of it yourself. You know, it's your health, and ultimately, you're the one responsible for it.
Right.
So you're going to have to do something about it. You know, a lot of times we have folks come in and say, well, you know, I went to my doc and they said, you know, they've talked about this, and they said, well, you're just getting older. And they are like me. I do not accept that, okay? So what do I do? Okay, well, let's find out what's wrong. And you dig in and do the testing that Medicare doesn't want to pay for. And you find out that there are problems like adrenals, could be blood sugar handling problems, you know, which they'll just kind of gloss over because Medicare doesn't want to get into that. Most insurance doesn't want to get into that nowadays, not just Medicare. They want to do the simple things, what we call they call the healthy you, which is going to let you deteriorate at a very good pace, and by the time you get to be in the geriatric crowd, you definitely need some care. You know.
Well, it's like you said earlier about not paying for wellness. Usual insurance companies or wherever you work, they'll pay for you to go get a regular physical.
Right.
You know, once a year,
which is very limited.
Which is a wellness thing. Mm-hmm. And again, whenever you do that, they're not going to go in there if they do blood work at all. They're not going to go in there and do a big a panel as y'all do because they're going to they're looking for something specific.
Well, you can't because you can't anything that you do. Your wellness codes. I mean, if they paid for everything for everybody, your insurance would cost so much nobody could afford it.
Mm-hmm. It's about that way
I mean,
now,
the thing is insurance can't cover everything. So if you want wellness, a lot of times you're going to have to do it yourself. I mean, wellness is different than sick care. And as you're getting older, that's the people that need it the most, because if you can prevent some of the problems that come with aging, it's definitely better than trying to do something about it once it's there.
And for that, another take on that note that she just said, you know, as we mature, and let's start at say 25 or 30, okay? Start taking care of yourself then. You know, you don't take your car out and just run the bejesus out of it, and then when it starts spitting and sputtering and falling apart, start thinking about, well, maybe I need to change the oil and put some new tires on it.
Right.
I mean, okay, your body's the same way. It's going to have issues, even if you're 25 or 35 or 45. You need to start paying attention then
Yeah.
to what's going on in your body, because you know more about how you're supposed to feel.
And I'm sure some of it's hereditary.
Oh, certainly. No doubt about that.
Well, if you know you have a genetic trait, that's another reason
Right.
why you should definitely take care of it early. If you know everybody in your family has a certain thing at a certain age, well, start looking early. Don't wait until it happens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've talked about before, and we've had a whole show on it, is prevention. And you can still do preventative things even as you're over 65. And a lot of people, it's almost like they say, okay, well, I'm old, I can't do anything about it. Well, that's not true. That's one of the things we wanted to get across today, is there are things that you can do no matter what the age. We have a lot of people that come in that are 85, 88, and they're like, I'm starting to get a little tired. I need something to help this. So, I mean, they're ones that they're not. They've
Starting
not,
to get a little
they've
tired
not
at
waited.
85 and 88.
Yeah, they've not waited. You know what I mean? They haven't waited to actually have a problem. They actually have done stuff all over the years, but if they start seeing something, they want something done about it. And that's what I think people should do, because, and it's not just that it's going to make you live longer, it's going to make your quality of life better. And
That's
so you
one of the
got to
big
talk
things.
a lot about
Yes.
quality of
That's
life.
the major thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
And the better your quality of life, your the chances of you living longer are going to be
They go up.
increased.
Yeah, but it's not even about that. It's more about quality of life. If
Right.
you have hurt constantly, I don't care if you're 65. I mean, do you want to
Right.
live that way? And so it's kind of like, when you have chronic pain or you have chronic problems and, you're just existing, that's not good. So there are things, and not that you can fix everything and get it 100%, but you can make your quality of life better.
Right.
Our phone lines are 896-0713, 800-349-0713. If you have a question today regarding, we're calling it the geriatric show.
Yeah.
Or anything,
Geriatrics.
right, yeah.
Well, I mean, basically, we don't want to say that, because it's just, as you said, as you get older, we
25,
started
35,
25,
yeah.
35, something like that, things start changing in our lives.
Right.
And we have, a lot of it has to do with lifestyle, what you're doing, what you're not doing. Maybe not getting off the couch as much as you should, but just little things that you can do to make your life a lot better.
Funny
Yes.
thing is, I have had a few people lately, and I mean, I've had quite a few. And they come in and they're in their 40s, and they're like, "Well, I'm just getting old." And I'm like, "You're in your 40s? That is not old." I
Hello?
mean, what's funny is
No.
people are starting to think that it's okay, younger and younger, to feel bad because they're getting older. And I thought that was so. I mean, I've had quite a few in their 40s, and I'm like, that is not old, because I fit that group. And
Well,
I'm not
and me,
old.
I mean, I'll be here in a couple of weeks. I'll be 59.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
We're all 10 years apart.
I know, that's the funny thing. We're all 10 years apart, and it's the great thing about is the older that I got, and there was a point there a couple of years ago that I was starting to get that kind of thing, and then when we started doing the show and this, and y'all got me on a program
Right.
or whatever, as far as eating right, dieting, taking the right kind of supplements and everything. I feel great.
Yeah.
I feel so much better now
Yeah.
than what I did.
Right.
And I have
because
so
and
much
now
more
you're,
energy.
you're older than you were a year ago, but you feel better.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what we wanted to stress, is you can.
No reason why.
Yeah.
All right. Phone lines again, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Stephanie's on the line standing by to take your calls. We will have our live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi continue in just a moment. And welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy, with Doctors Jim and Janine Fox of Doctors Nutrition, located on Cowan Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road. Gloria of Van Cleve had a question. She called in. Is there any help that she can get for paying for her COPD medication? She's on Social Security but needs financial help.
My suggestion would be to go talk to your pharmacist. They probably know more of the social programs for medication. Since we don't deal with actual prescription medications, we don't have to deal with any programs. So call your pharmacist. That's the one that I would ask.
Okay. Evelyn from Van Cleve, are Omega XL and or Sabria helpful, or are those something that she could use?
I'm not sure of that second one.
That Sabria, I'm not sure what
yeah.
she's talking about. It might be spelt wrong, and it might be why
Possible.
we don't know
But-
what it
Yeah,
is.
but
Okay.
for the dementia drug. Okay. The omega-3s are phenomenal. I mean, the research on them is
very
just
good.
very good.
Now, I believe that Omega XL, and I might be wrong because, I mean, there's so many different name brands
Oh,
out
yeah.
there, but I want to say that one is actually more of a PERN and not a high EPA and DHA.
Right.
So you want to make sure your Omega supplement, and I'm not sure about that specific one because I think it is more PERNA, which is more for joints. But you would be better off with a higher EPA and DHA content for actual dementia. But there's no doubt that actually has lots of research that helps dementia.
Actually, vitamin D D3, that is.
D3
Vitamin
coupled
D3
with fish
coupled
oil.
with fish oil. There's been some interesting research, probably published this year, earlier this year,
Yep.
that that shows that it's remarkable for helping the mental decline, shall we say? Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the calls.
Yeah, thanks.
Again, phone lines are open, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. What are some of the types of things that you see with blood work whenever you have mature people come in?
like that word. I like that.
Well, what are some of the more of the issues that you do see with the blood work?
Well, the common things is, as we get older, one of the biggies, as we mature, and we know this, science has proven this time and time and time again, as we age, and I'll use that word, hate to, but I will, and as it happens, our enzyme production goes down. Now, this starts when you're maybe 30, 35, 40, in that range. So it starts earlier, and you don't digest your food as well, which means eventually you're going to have some nutrient depletion. You're going to become deficient in various nutrients. And the thing is it might take 15, 20, 30 years for that stuff to start to show up damage, but it will. And so that's one of the first things that we see is, these various nutrient depletions. People that are taking nutrients, and yet when you check their B12, it's not there. They just can't absorb it. They can't
But we
utilize
also
it.
see is that as people are maturing, they
Yeah.
actually change their diet a lot. B12 is definitely from animal sources.
Right.
You don't get it from plants. And people, as they get harder to chew and their teeth go bad, they tend to not eat as much meat. And as the meat consumption goes
Decreases, right,
down, then
yeah.
you actually definitely start getting B12 depletion, and if you don't have your enzymes, and definitely your vitamin D depletion, and there's so many things that we do see depleted in people as they
Right.
get older.
Right.
Okay. Gladys from Gulfport. I'm going through menopause and I'm losing hair. What can I do to stop or reverse my hair loss?
Go ahead, Janine. I'll refer to
We do hear this every day.
Every
and
day.
Actually, part of, actually that's one of the things that some women get, not all women, as they go through menopause is hair loss.
Yeah.
What we always suggest is doing the lab work, because some things with the hair loss, cortisol, which is your stress hormone, goes way up during menopause. And that increase of cortisol can actually make hair loss. So fixing the cortisol problem would help if that's a problem. Now, the DIM, diindolylmethane, actually has been shown to actually help hormonal hair loss. Sometimes it's just the hormones going down. Your actual hair loss is just because your body is so used to having them hormones, and once it drops, you start having hair loss. So it really depends on the person and depends on what's going on in their body. And thyroid problems are very common after menopause. So if you have a underlying thyroid problem, you have to do something with it.
Yeah.
So I always say we definitely have a panel that we do with people going through menopause, and actually it definitely helps with helping all the problems, and hair loss is one of them.
Yeah, because even as you go through that menopausal thing, one of the first hormones to drop is
Progesterone.
and progesterone is definitely shown to help the thyroid function.
Right.
So as that happens, that thyroid is going to be not quite up to par, and hair loss is one of the issues there.
Like I
So
said, a
it
few
can
of the things you can take just right off without doing lab work is the DIM, biotin, fish
Biotin.
oil, things like that do help. And like I said, but you do want to, it's better to always know what the underlying problems are.
be. Right.
All right. Thank you very much for your call, Gladys. 896-0713, 800-349-0713. Stephanie's in taking your calls this morning, so if you have a question for the doctors, we can either have you on the air or we can mention the question to them. So, but there are different things. There's no reason why, as we mature,
Yes.
that we can't have a very still healthy, active lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. And sometimes being inactive due to various
detrimental to you.
Oh, very detrimental to you. There's no doubt about that. That's like she said, being inactive. Even if
Stopping is the worst thing you can do.
stopping,
Yeah.
you have to keep going. And you may even decide or find out that, if as you, age a little bit and things start to creak and crack a little bit and things that shouldn't, that's when you maybe need to do more exercise and things. We've talked about our compound called Perna, which is for the joints. Fantastic to keep those joints lubricated, and then use them. Put
Yeah.
them through their paces.
Take a walk around the block.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doing nothing is the worst thing you can do.
It sure is.
Now,
really.
some of the other things on lab work, we were talking about that before the calls, that we see, especially as people getting closer to the late 70s, 80s, is what I usually see, is kidney dysfunction.
Yes.
And it's, considered kind of normal for that age, but we do have something that helps it. B1 makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
And especially most of the research on B1 is for what they call diabetic kidney disease. But we've actually found that it's helping with people that aren't diabetic as they age as well. So that's something that's very inexpensive, very.
Well, and along with that same thing, the sugar handling issues, because as we age, obviously that does kind of play into it. And now we're seeing, because if you go on and had your A1C done, they say, oh, you're 5.9, you're fine. No, you're not.
Right.
Okay, they show, the newest research is showing us anything on an A1C above 5.5, and we're doing tissue damage.
Right.
So you need to, we need to be very aggressive at controlling that blood sugar, especially as we mature.
All right, Ronnie of Pascagoula has got a question. What damage does high number of immature platelet fractions do?
It's going to affect clotting more than anything.
More than
I
anything,
mean, that's
right.
kind of a vague question. It depends on what else is going along with it. But there's no doubt that the platelets not forming completely do affect clotting. And
You got to wonder why they're not.
you got to find out
yeah.
why they're doing that. That's we always say you got to get to the underlying problem and what damage can it do. I mean, you could not clot too much depending on what the numbers are.
Right.
So it's more of a clotting problem.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that has, does that have to do with plaque as well?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not
Wasn't
necessarily.
sure because it's talking about.
the platelets have a lot to do with a lot of the immune system and things going on in the immune system is what
Sure
we
do.
find. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, and we got Thomas on the line. We're going to get to your call in just a second. Thomas, don't run away. It is our Monday morning live edition. We repeat it on Friday now. Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the final portion of this morning's live edition of Healthy Living South Mississippi. Live healthy, be healthy. With Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctor's Nutrition, Cowan Road and Gulfport, south of Pass Road. Thomas is on the phone with us from Biloxi. You had a question about vitamins, Thomas?
Yes. I was really interested in your show. I think it was a couple of weeks ago about vitamin K2
Yes.
and wanted to find out more about that. But in particular, I was wondering if you publish a list of vitamins and kind of what they're recommended for, whether or not you have any publications that we could look at, and whether it's online as well. And then wanted to know what your basic panel costs. As I recall, I thought it was $70, but I can't remember for sure, and wanted to know what that is. I might want to use some of my Mississippi Power refund check to get
Let's wait and see if we get it first.
Well, we're going to get it. We're assuring that.
Don't hold your breath, Thomas. Okay.
Well, for one, our basic panel is 69. But most people, especially as people mature, we recommend most people do the expanded panel, which is 150. So it does, the difference is the basic panel definitely has all your basics, but the expanded panel has extra tests for thyroid, your adrenals, your vitamin D, your B12, a urinalysis, your A1C. So it has a lot of extra stuff in it. So, but we do have one for 69, but probably the most common one that we do is 150. And then...
Well, you're talking about the K2.
Yeah, K2.
I mean, K2 is, without a doubt, probably the most overlooked. I mean, if you remember a few years back, and maybe 10 years ago, the problem with vitamin D was don't do vitamin D because you're going to get too much, blah, blah, blah. And now medicine has pretty much embraced that. And vitamin K2 is the same way. Actually, I have put this question to several healthcare practitioners around the country about K and K2. And they didn't know the difference between K1 and K2 because they're not taught. It's that new. In other words, when they were in school 10 years ago, it was still just vitamin K. K1 is the clotting factor. K2 is the good stuff. That's the thing that we need. And it is totally overlooked in most nutrition. And, some of a lot of the medications, from your statin drugs and so on and so forth right on down, deplete it and destroy it and interfere with it. And, of course, now we're seeing, a higher incidence of cardiovascular disease and everything else. And it's probably because we're not getting enough K2 and have not got enough K2 in quite a while, really. So very, very important.
Well, that's why I'm so interested in it, because I've been diagnosed with cardiovascular disease.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
And as I understand it, it's available as MK4 and MK7 or something.
It is.
Right.
Now, the thing with MK4, and it's a good thing, you bring up some good points. I love that. But MK4 is very short-lived. In other words, it's only going to be active for about 4, maybe 6 hours tops.
Okay.
Right. You have to dose it multiple times during the day, and at much higher doses, too.
And much higher doses. is.
Because
And
it is synthetic.
It is. Now, the MK7 is active, what we call bioactive, for about 24 hours. So you can dose it once a day and get the biological effects from it, that whole day or the whole 24-hour
Right.
period. So MK7 is, and at a much lower dose too. So it's much better, and it does not interfere at normal low doses like that. It doesn't interfere with the clotting factors at all. You can even, there's even some controversy about folks that are on warfarin or Coumadin actually taking K2, and the research says if it's low dose, probably
They
would
say
be a good
but
idea.
even like the person that actually wrote the book on K2 was on our show, and she said still though if you're on Coumadin, you're still probably not going to get the benefits of taking it.
No, because Coumadin's
it's
gonna
still
destroy
going to
it.
destroy it and
Yeah.
it's going to block it. So that is one that's.
Yeah.
But there's so much on K2 now. Now you asked also about a list of.
Yeah, the ADK2.
Yeah,
is
our
the-
ADK2 actually has your vitamin D, it has the K2 and vitamin A,
that's what
which
you
you
have
need
me
to make
on.
it active.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
and I
you've
only
been
That's
take
what I
4 of those a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one every other day.
Because of your levels, you didn't need as much D.
Right.
Anybody can use the K in it, but sometimes you don't need as much D. Now, as for a list of things that, I don't know if there's an actual list, we try to go
There's
to people
books written on it.
individually and see what the individual needs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's probably books on every single nutrient, but the K2, the vitamin D,
B12
vitamin
is a
A
biggie.
is another one that's starting to come out more that people are overlooking. B12, all your B vitamins.
A lot of people, yeah, vitamin A is a biggie because a lot of people are saying, for years now, we've substituted rather than vitamin A, which is an animal source typically, fish liver and that kind of thing, and they've substituted the carotenoids, like beta carotene. A lot of people, now that some of the genetic research is coming out, and if you got that BCOM1, you can't convert the beta carotene
Into
to vitamin
vitamin A.
A. So it's not really pro vitamin A. And there's even some thought now that perhaps taking too much beta carotene over a long period of time could even be toxic because of some of the other effects that it gets up, because you can't convert it.
Yeah, the genetics get into.
Genetics get into this a whole
Genetics
nother
get into a
plane.
whole lot different
But
thing.
it's really interesting in that it goes back to saying that, the vitamin A itself is the preferred way to get that nutrient in your body. No doubt about it.
Okay.
All right, thanks very much, Thomas.
Thomas, you did great.
James in D'Iberville. My mother had a stroke 5 years ago, constant headache and stomach problems. Is there anything that she can do to help with that? The doctors say she just has to learn to live with it.
Well, that's the worst thing a doctor can tell somebody.
Right, I definitely
I'd
don't
say.
agree with that. But I mean, there's no doubt after you've had a stroke, headaches can come along with it, and who knows, with stomach problems could even be from some of the medications she's taken, because a lot of
Could
people
be.
are on a lot of medications after they, do have a stroke. We have to look at her individually. There's definitely things you can do for headaches, even after a stroke.
Right.
So there's things that you can do, and to me, not
Very
to say that it can fix her 100% because she has had damage, but you can make her better,
Okay.
Increase that quality.
increase
of
the
life.
quality of life.
Okay, we've
Exactly.
got time for one more quick phone call. Aubrey of Picayune. Hey, Aubrey, go ahead.
Yes, my wife's got been diagnosed with thyroid problem.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Would it cause her to have trouble walking? And
If it's severe enough. Now, thyroid can affect the neuromuscular system, and if it's severe enough, it definitely can. But I'd have to look at other things as well. And I know we're coming up on the end of the show, so if you want, give us a call and we can talk to you more individually. And maybe if you have any lab work on her, bring it to us and we'll look at it.
Yeah, there's the number, 897-0070, 228-897-0070. And real quick now, this week's special.
Our special is Alzheimer's,
Yeah,
because we figured
digestive enzymes.
anybody can take Alzheimer's, and as people age, there's no doubt it tends to decrease, and that makes a big difference. Health starts at the digestive tract.
Okay, and next week on the show, we are going to, on next Monday, we're going to have the natural ways to decrease
plaque. Yep.
in your arteries and all that good stuff. So thank you for being here with us. This show will be rebroadcast on Friday at 9 o'clock on WLOX CBS. Hope you have a great week.